Hey, what's going on everyone? This is iReviews back with another video, and Apple has released iOS 26.6 Beta 1. Of course, as expected, this update is out on its first beta and it will stay on betas for quite a few weeks before it gets out to the public sometime in summer, most likely towards the end of June. Now, even though this is not a big update, it doesn't bring a ton of new features and changes, it is still a very important update, especially for people that have devices that won't support the new iOS 27. And this will be the last big update for their device. Of course, 26.6 updates, 0.1, 0.2 will come out in the next months, but this is the last big update for iOS 26 devices. It won't be able to update to iOS 27. So in this video, we're going to take a look at this update and see what's new and why this is important and why I believe you must stay away from this update for now. Now, iOS 26.6 Beta 1 will come at your device at a really big size. Of course, when updating from like a version of iOS, which is a public release to beta, the update will be really big. So it's at around 9 gigabytes right here on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and it should be around 9 gigabytes on other devices as well. Of course, this will be different for different devices, but it should be quite big. Now, the new build number for iOS 26.6 Beta 1 is 23G5028E. This is a new build number ending with an E, indicating that we will see quite a few betas until this is out to the public. Most likely 4 to 5 betas will be out for iOS 26.6 before it gets released to the public. Now, this update, as I said, is really important for a lot of reasons. A lot of users won't be able to update to iOS 27, but also for other users that do want to have this update, it will be basically like a polished version of iOS 26. It's supposed to fix things and smooth out everything on the device so that it runs really well with iOS at 26.6. Now, of course, we'll have to wait for a few days and see how the battery will perform, which is of course a very important component of every update. But if it's good on battery life and of course it's stable, then it will be great, because for a lot of users this will be the last iOS update that they will be able to install on their devices that won't actually support the new iOS 27. So what's new with this update? Well, there is not a lot new, actually there are just a few new features or changes that we can mention for this update. First of all, we have a new feature on the phone app. So basically you get a pop-up when you have reached the limit of blocked contacts on your iPhone. So blocked phone numbers, you reach the limit, it shows you a pop-up, let you know that you will need to go to your settings and remove one of those blocked contacts before you can add another one. Now, believe it or not, the limit is 20,000 numbers. So if you have actually blocked 20,000 numbers, which I don't believe anyone will ever reach that limit on iOS, that's why I believe this is actually useless. If you have reached 20,000 blocked numbers, then you will have to remove one before you can go ahead and add another block number. Now, there will be also a new modem update for iOS 26.6. Apple has updated the modem here, and hopefully this will help improve the call quality on devices. And of course, an issue that a lot of users have actually been reporting throughout iOS 26 with like just calls would drop randomly. Hopefully this new modem update will actually help to fix those problems. Now, as you could probably tell by the title of the video, I'd suggest that you don't actually update to the betas of iOS 26.6, of course. Now, right here we're on the general settings. If I go to the software update, this is a device that I'm planning to install iOS 27 Beta 1 on, and you can see right here I have beta updates turned off, so I'm not moving to iOS 26.6 because this will be on betas for like a few weeks now, and iOS 27 Beta 1 will come out before this gets released to the public. So you don't want to go to the iOS 26.6 beta stages on the device that you want to have iOS 27 on. If I update right here, right now on iOS 26.6 Beta 1, by the time I want to install iOS 27 Beta 1 on the device, I will have to go through quite a lot of steps. Like, I would have to basically revert the device and just downgrade from iOS 26.6 beta 1 back to iOS 26.5 or 26.5.1 if it gets released earlier, and then I will be able to move to the betas of iOS 27. That's why I suggest that if you actually want to install iOS 27 beta 1 on your device, then you need to make sure that you actually avoid iOS 26.6. It's fairly easy to do. If you have been installing the betas of iOS 26, you probably have the betas enabled here. So what you want to do is just come here, make sure to turn it off, then go back here, and you will see that your device is up to date with iOS 26.5. Those are the proper steps that you need to follow in order to make sure that you just stay on iOS 26.5 for another like 12 days, and then you will be able to install the first beta of iOS 27. And of course, with iOS 26.6, it's not that you're getting any like cool new feature or stuff like that, so it's actually not worth it installing, especially on these first betas. So that's why I suggest you go ahead and turn off the betas and leave them off until it's time to install the first beta of iOS 27. By that time, you will be able to just go to the beta updates here, and you will still have the iOS 26 betas here, but will also show right here the iOS 27 beta, and that from then on you can just go ahead and update your device, even though you will need to be very careful with updating the device to iOS 27.1 because it will be an initial update with a ton of new features, and it most likely will have terrible battery life and a ton of bugs, especially on the first beta. So what's the timeline now for iOS? Talking here about iOS 26.6 and iOS 27, of course, beta 1. Well, with the release of the first beta, I would expect Apple to actually release like most likely 4 betas before they release the RC, and then the final release of iOS 26.6. I would actually expect Apple to release a new beta every week with iOS 26, so most likely in the beginning of the next week will be the second beta, and then we will go through 4 betas. The RC most likely the 29th or the 30th of June will be the days that Apple releases iOS 26.6 to the public. Now, as I said earlier, with this initial beta 1 release, we don't actually have a ton of changes. We have that in one new feature, which most likely no one will ever use on iOS, but again, it's still an important update when it comes to bug fixes, improvements, and hopefully it will have a good battery life as well. Now, as far as iOS 27 goes, we know that it's coming out on its first beta on June the 8th after the WWDC 2026 opening and the conference. And of course, it should go on a 2-week schedule probably for the first 3 betas, and then on a weekly schedule, of course, from the middle of July and then on. Also, in the middle of July, you can expect to see the first public beta of iOS 27 get out for the public to test it, even with the dev beta, you can easily install it on your device. So that is it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it helpful. If you did, smash the like button and of course subscribe for more. I'll see you guys on the next one.